It's mailbag time here on Seahawks Today. Tyler Jones here with you. Thanks for joining us. Coming up on today's show, we will answer whatever questions you guys have from our award-winning watchers of Seahawks Today. Look, this is the first time we've gotten the chance to interact with you since the draft, so I'm sure you guys have plenty of questions. These mailbags we do on our live shows on Wednesdays at 6 p.m. Eastern, 3 p.m. Pacific. And people send in their questions to us via Super Chat or using the hashtag Seahawks. So if you want to be a part of these mailbags, then you need to subscribe to the channel. That way you can join us for our live shows and you can get your questions in real time. Subscribe now for free today, youtube.com/Seahawks TV to get your questions in on our mailbag shows. First question in the mailbag this week comes from BFG Kai says, what nickname should we give our secondary? Needs something different than Legion of Boom 2.0. I heard an idea because there is some speed in this group. Legion of Zoom? Or is that too similar? Do we need to start fresh, start from scratch as far as that goes? Look, I love this secondary group. I think, kind of stepping back a bit from the nickname because the nickname, I don't think it's that big of a deal if we're going to be honest. Looking at this group, okay, Tariq Woolen was outstanding last year. Devin Witherspoon, I think, is going to be great. Kobe Bryant, I think, is good. Mike Jackson, solid. You just look all around. The corners are all there. And then you go to the safety room. Jamal Adams coming back from injury. Quandre Diggs, Julian Love. I think the Seahawks are the best secondary in football, and they are going to be a force to be reckoned with every single week. Watch out for this secondary group. Going to be a lot of fun here. Got a comment here from Dylan, writes, what can we do to make our defense even better? It's a great question. I think the next thing for Seattle, you have the secondary taken care of. The linebacker room, maybe some help at outside linebacker. I got some questions about Darrell Taylor, if you could potentially do better than Darrell Taylor, maybe. The defensive line still need a little bit of help on the interior, in particular the nose tackle spot. That's what I'm looking for. So some little things here and there. Maybe it's a trade, maybe it's free agency. I don't know. But to me, that's what I'm looking for. This team still has a little bit of pieces to kind of fill in the gaps necessarily. We'll see what they do. Pete Carroll's burner writes, still need help at defensive tackle. What about Ndamukong Suh? I like Ndamukong Suh. I think Ndamukong Suh is going to be a Hall of Famer. He's from the Pacific Northwest. We've talked about him in the past, the idea of him coming to Seattle. But here's the deal. Ndamukong Suh, remember, he waited until the 11th hour, basically, to join the Philadelphia Eagles last year because he wasn't going to play for cheap. And with the money that he's going to demand out there, I don't know if Seattle necessarily has the cash for Ndamukong Suh. He's still playing at a pretty decent level and is still a good football player even at the end of his career here. But even with that said, I just don't know if the money necessarily works out for Seattle to go with Ndamukong Suh there. But we'll see. What do you think? Should the Seahawks sign Ndamukong Suh? Tell us in the comments section. Our pinned comment today. You might get an ad break. If so, take advantage of it. While the ad's playing, get your votes in. Y for yes, in for no. Should the Seahawks sign Ndamukong Suh? Tell us in the comments section below. What UDFA has the best chance to make the roster, says Jur G. I got to tell you, I really like Jake Bobo out of UCLA. And I know he's not the fastest guy. I believe his 40 time was about a 4.9, which is not that great at all. But even with that said, when it comes to Jake Bobo, this is a guy that I'm looking for, Jake Bobo, that has really good ability to get up there and catch those high passes, right? To be that kind of red zone threat of sorts, right? And so I'm looking at Jake Bobo. This is not a guy that's going to outrun you down the field. But when it comes to the red zone and trying to get those 50-50 balls in those situations, Jake Bobo, he almost feels like a tight end, right? I'm watching for Jake Bobo. He is the guy I would like to see him compete and find a way to potentially make that roster. To me, he is the UDFA I'm watching for. Peter says, what's our next priority other than QB for next year's draft? Defensive tackle. I mean, that's a big deal. Defensive tackle. That defensive line needs some long-term help. And I think linebacker needs some long-term help. Think about this. You declined Jordan Brooks' fifth-year option, so we don't know what his future holds, although I would think that he probably still comes back. Bobby Wagner's on a one-year deal. He's getting older. You don't know how long Bobby's going to be around necessarily. To me, right off the jump, that's what comes to mind is linebacker and defensive tackle as far as your future goes, of your priorities, of some things you got to shore up. And then also think about how much longer does Jamal Adams stick around with his injury history. Got to start thinking about safety after this upcoming year. So those are a couple possibilities. We'll see what the Seahawks do. Thanks, Peter. Super chat from Peter, $5 super chat. Thank you, Ryan, for that $5 super chat. I appreciate the channel, a ton of juice you bring, Tyler, and the fun we have on this community makes this my favorite place for Seahawks news. Ryan, a round of applause for you. Look, we love to have a good time. And let me just take a moment here, since you bring this up, Ryan. You know, I've worked in TV news and been around that industry. And the thing about this, I know that there are times when we have discussions that might get heated every once in a while or might have a back and forth. But at the end of the day, this is sports, right? You know, this is not life or death, right? I mean, we can sit back and enjoy ourselves and not take ourselves too seriously and have a good time. And that's what I want to bring you here on the channel. I want to bring you not only the best Seahawks coverage we can each and every day, but I want to have a good time doing it. And bring the juice, bring the fire, have a good time. I think we can have those moments where we can have a little fun back and forth, maybe get heated a bit, but then other times, you know, we just enjoy ourselves and kick it. That's what we're going to do here on Seahawks Today. We love to have a good time here on the channel and do what you can to bring the best for the 12s. What you guys enjoy, you guys deserve it all. You make this channel happen. This is the channel for you, and it's my pleasure to be here with you guys each and every day here on Seahawks Today. Thanks, Ryan. Another $5 super chat from the man himself. The man himself writes in, with the history of USC and Pete and not getting QB, I think we are in, I think that means prime position to get Caleb Williams from USC. What say you? Hashtag Seahawks, hashtag Pretty Papa. Woo! I see where you're going at, the man himself, but one problem. Seahawks aren't going to be picking number 1 overall next year. I think Seattle is going to be one of the best teams in the entire NFC. They're not going to be in position to get Caleb Williams. It sounds like a great idea. Caleb Williams, I think, is fantastic. I would have picked him before any of the quarterbacks in this year's draft. I think he is going to be incredible at the next level. I'm all in. Caleb Williams is going to be outstanding. I think Drake May is going to be really good too. But Seattle's just not going to be in that spot. He's going number 1. Seahawks aren't picking number 1. I like everything about Caleb Williams except he's got to quit doing the fingernails with the F word in the team. That kind of backfired against Utah this past year. So Caleb Williams, excited to see what he does in the NFL, but quit doing the fingernail thing, man. JSN is king. I like that. Who's your favorite Seahawks draft pick? Well, it was the guy that's on the screen right now, JSN, checking in. I loved Jackson Smith-Njigba. Now, I'll be honest. I'll take a slice of humble pie for a second and admit to you all. I did not project Jackson Smith-Njigba to Seattle in my final mock draft because I wasn't expecting him to be there at 20. I had a mock draft at one point in time, actually, where I did predict JSN to Seattle, but it wasn't my last one because I didn't think he'd be around at 20. I thought he'd go top 15. And then he started to slip a little bit. And then all of a sudden you're like, oh, okay. Well, I guess they could go receiver then. He was one of those guys that he was too good to pass up of the circumstance of him being there. Best receiver in this draft. He's a wide receiver 1 caliber guy, the only one in this draft. A very good possession receiver. He can work in the slot. He could work in the middle of the field. watch out. And you already have Lockett and Metcalf, too. This offense is going to be fun. And Geno Smith showed that he is that guy last year. Watch out. Watch out. Here we go, folks. JSN, my favorite pick. No disrespect to Witherspoon, but JSN, just all things considered, was my favorite pick. Who was the best Seahawks draft pick this year? Was it Jackson Smith and Jigbo? Was it Devin Witherspoon? Or somebody else? Tell me in the comments section. Let me know who the best pick was. Got time for a couple more questions here. We'll go with my guy Cody here. Cody writes, do we move on from Jamal Adams to clean room to get some star D-line rookies next year or make room for a bet? By the way, I love those other two channels I do, but don't like the fighting, to be clear. Cody, thanks for the love, my guy, for checking in. Jamal Adams has a lot of dead cap. I know that a lot of you, and I read the comments, so don't get me wrong on this. I do read the comments. And a lot of you, for several months, have said, please, move on from Jamal Adams. Get him out of here. Please, I can't deal with him anymore. Can't rely on him. I understand all of the frustrations with Jamal Adams. But the money just doesn't add up to move on from Jamal Adams anytime soon. We'll see. I get it. Don't get me wrong, Cody. I understand. But as Dave Ramsey says, you got to make your money work for you. And that just doesn't work for Seattle. Last question from J-Boy. With Brooks possibly being out for some time, what's our plan for middle linebacker? 2 words. Devin Bush. We already know that Bobby's going to start. And then you go to Devin Bush to potentially be the next guy. I'll be real with y'all. Devin Bush has gotten worse since his rookie year when he was with the Pittsburgh Steelers. And, he had a really good rookie year, and it's been downhill ever since. When they signed Devin Bush at first before Bobby, I'm like, oh, no. I hope he's not starting, please. And then they ended up signing Bobby. Okay, Devin Bush is fine to be a rotational guy, to be your backup in a linebacker, which he is. That's fine. Jordan Brooks isn't ready to go. I'm okay with Devin Bush filling in for the time being. But we'll see. So credit to Devin Bush. Let's see what he can put together. Name a player the Seahawks should sign. Still more time to go in free agency. Let us know in the comments section who you'd like to see the Seahawks sign. We'll see you next time here on the channel.